taking any advantage of any offerings that the center has to offer? And if so, what are they? And can you speak a little bit about those things?
When I first converted to Islam, there was a course at the center for converts to Islam, or reverts, teaching new Muslims. And basically we would go in and ask all of our questions, and it was really good because everyone was in the same position. We were all going through the same, it was like a support group kind of, with a guide teacher. And I'm still friends with those people, so it was really good to go ahead, because I wouldn't have met the new Muslims otherwise. It really brought us together, and we asked all questions that you can imagine, and it was really good resource for us in the beginning, teaching us how to pray, teaching us how to deal with our families, because it's a shock for our families. Can't eat pork, basic things that some people might not realize that a new Muslim needs to know and needs to be told. And then later on, I decided to start taking Arabic classes, which is also offered at the CID, and they've been really great. They have a really good teacher, Muhammad Yafa, and he's knowledgeable about Islam, about the Quran. He studied Arabic, the language, and he's also studied linguistics and can apply them. He's really good, mashallah, and a really strong resource that we have here for teaching. I've met other people who are interested in Islam, and I just remember how I felt at that time. And I remember how nice people were with me, so I try and do the same, because I know it had a big influence on me. It's really nice to see the people coming, and I hope that we can continue to give them the support that I had at the time.
Towards that summer, when you were investing, what struck you about Islam that you said, there's something interesting here? What was it in particular, or a couple of things? What when you started reading, what appealed to you?
I was at a point in my life when I felt like everything, like there was no morals in this society, and just everything seemed to be reinforcing that, and I was just wondering, what is the point of life if everyone is just so greedy, take, be independent, and it was just frustrating and kind of discouraging. And then when I started reading about Islam, I realized that life isn't like that. Life is like sharing, and there's a purpose to living, there's a purpose to worship our Creator, that we were created. There are guidelines for living, and the reason that you should be good and not greedy or not taking advantage of others is because there's an afterlife and you're going to be accountable for that. And it seemed to just make perfect sense for the time of my life that I was in. And then from there I learned about the miracles that are in the Quran and other things like that help support it, but that was basically what called me to Islam.
Any advice for people out there who may be a little lost and searching and hurting? And there's a lot out there, isn't there? Some don't even know they're hurting. Some know they're hurting but don't even know the first, step of, maybe there's another way, because all they see is just the physical. You can get this, buy this, do this, it'll make you feel better, and life goes on. And maybe somebody's watching you right now as a person that's grown up here, that now you've made a change and how it's affected you. What advice do you have for someone that may be watching you that is feeling like they just don't get it, what's going on?
Basically, I just started reading about different religions, and even reading different religions, then you realize which one's for you, and I think that would be Islam, obviously, but I think in reading about other religions I realized how strong Islam is. And also someone had given me the advice, I wasn't even sure if I believed in God before, I was really questioning everything, but they said if you have a small belief in God, then just pray to God to guide you. And this was before I was interested in Islam. I mean, if anyone has any belief in our Creator, just pray in whatever way and ask for guidance, and then that's how you can be guided to the truth. That's what the advice was given to me, and as I was praying, I would pray all the time, and then I found myself learning more and more and more about Islam. Well, I know it's a struggle, like when you become a Muslim, it's not just easy after that. That's when the true test that's when the true test starts. And like we're always going to be tested on our faith, so you just have to be strong and keep praying and asking for guidance. Surround yourself with good people who are knowledgeable about Islam, because it can also be really confusing when someone who says that they're Muslim tells you one thing and someone who says that they're Muslim tells you another thing. So just make sure that you're going to the right people, whether it be an imam or someone at the mosque, because having Muslim friends doesn't necessarily mean that they know how to advise you.
That may be one of the benefits of becoming a Muslim. Born Canadian, become a Muslim, you can learn it from sort of do your own investigation. You don't just learn it from the way your father practices or your mother practices. You dig out the way. Yeah.
And sometimes it can be confusing because you see other Muslims, like you want the easy path. Like when you convert to Islam, you think, okay, I converted, I'm going to pray, but I'll never wear hijab, or I'll be one of those Muslims, like look at all these women who are strong in their belief and they don't wear hijab. Or I keep using the hijab as an example, but you know what I mean. There's other things, like they go to parties or something, but they still pray, so I want to be like, I can be like them. But then you realize that you shouldn't take Islam from how people act, because it doesn't mean that it's correct. Like that's how I started, is, oh, I'll fit so much better, I'll fit in so much better if I can take this moderate path. But then as I read and learned, then you realize that, no, I have to take this next step, because if you really want to submit in Islam, then you have to do as we're supposed to. So,
do you find when you submit, you say sometimes it's hard, but then you do, what benefits do you receive from submitting in your life? What does it do for you as a person, submitting to your Creator?
Things become easier. Like, I find my life is so much less dramatic now. Like, it's, I mean, it's not always easy, but you do get a lot of peace when you know you've made a good decision, and so you feel stronger about yourself, you feel happier, you feel more at peace in knowing that you're doing the right thing, and inshallah you get reward from that.
How does Islam give you hope?
Well, Islam makes me feel more positive about life in general, knowing that there's a purpose. It gives me hope that we can work together as a community and make changes in the things that I grew up finding wrong about the society. I hope that we can have a good influence for our children growing up.
How are we supposed to deal with people that, you know, are Christian friends and people that don't have the same religious beliefs that we do?
Well, we're supposed to respect everyone. I think there's even a surah about respecting, the Surah Al-Kafirun. It says, to you your religion, to me mine. Yeah. But sure, so we're supposed to keep good relations with people. Yeah, we're supposed to deal with everyone. As long as they don't tell us to do something against Islam, then we should have respect. And I just think, like, if people had treated me bad, I never would have converted to Islam, like if all the Muslims had rejected. That's one of the things that my mom really supports, is she sees the change in me, and she's so happy with it. She can, like, night and day. Like, the overall change was definitely worth it, and she's really happy, and she defends it with other people. She comes to Islamic events. She always has wonderful things to say about the women that she meets at the events. So, yeah. So we have to, like, you never know who's going to become a Muslim. Even people who completely reject Islam, like, if you have patience with them, they can become Muslims.